So if I don't know you, my name is Will Hall. I serve as the area director for Chester County Young Life. In Chester County Young Life, we minister to teenagers in Coatesville, Downingtown, and Westchester. And in my role, I oversee all of our staff and our volunteer leaders and all the great ministries that we have.
Hello, if I don't know you, my name is Alexis Visser. I am the Associate Area Director in Chester County, one of them. There's another one, you'll meet her later. My job focuses on a few things in the area. I get to run our Capernaum ministry, which is for students with disabilities. I get to be a part of the ministry happening in Downingtown, and I also get to train and recruit and retain some of our wonderful volunteer leaders.
If you were here last year, then you know that Young Life as a whole has existed since 1941. That's 84 years. And in Chester County, we are now past 50 years. 50 years of adults that have said, we want to go into the world of kids and share the message of Jesus. If you're new to Young Life, I'll tell you this, that it started in Texas in 1941, but now we're in every state, and we're actually in over 100 countries. And our mission statement across the organization is this, if you don't know, it's introducing adolescents to Jesus Christ and helping them grow in their faith. Social psychologists say that adolescence is the transitional period between childhood and adulthood, which now has extended from age 10 to 20. So when you think about Young Life, originally you might think high school ministry. But if we're going to faithfully fulfill our organization's mission statement, we, over time, have added other ministries, some sub-ministries, to make sure we're reaching every adolescent. If you're new to Young Life, we use a lot of different words to describe those ministries, so I'm just going to share it with everyone tonight so we're all on the same page. So when we're talking about Young Life, that's an umbrella statement of the entire organization. So we might say we have 35 Young Life leaders, which we do, but that means Young Life leaders in all of our different ministries. And then specifically in this area, we have 5 different sub-ministries. We have Young Life Capernaum, as Alexis mentioned, which is Young Life for students with disabilities. We have one club for Chester County. There is Wildlife, which is Young Life for middle school students. We currently have one wildlife club at Pierce Middle School. We would love to start one back in Downingtown again. We'd love to have one in Coatesville. We'd love to have other Westchester wildlife ministries. Young Lives is Young Life for teen moms. And we currently have a Young Lives Club in Westchester and a Young Lives Club in Coatesville. Young Life College, as adolescents, has extended to 20, is a ministry for college students. And the last 3 years, we've had Todd Madonna, who's going to share more about it, but we've had Young Life College at Westchester University. And then Young Life, we still use that term to specifically talk about high school ministry. And so we have 6 Young Life clubs in our area. Now that's 11 ministries. It takes a lot of people, so I humbly join a big team. We have multiple full-time staff and part-time staff, and the goal tonight was for each person to share a little bit so you could meet them and get to see how incredible our staff are. We also have 35 volunteer leaders, like Alexis talked about. Again, Young Life leaders, so we're talking about wildlife, Young Lives mentors, college small group leaders. There's 35 of us that are working together. And then we have 9 incredible committee members. We're going to talk a little bit more about committee at the end. But their role is to indirectly impact kids by directly supporting the staff and leaders. And spoiler alert, we need more committee. So I'm going to share about that need at the end of the night. Just want to put that in your mind. It truly takes a village to invest in the lives of students from Gen Z and Gen Alpha. And recently, Young Life conducted a study on Gen Z to help us better minister to them. And so we've put some of those highlights in a video shared from the perspective of our students. And I'd love you to take a look right now.
You gotta find your people the ones that make you feel alright, the kind you wanna stay up with all night. You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel whole. They won't leave your side when you lose control.
Generation Z. My generation is defined as those born between 1997 and 2012. We're between 12 and 27 years old.
Just like you, we are built for relationships. They help us figure out who we are and really what we are worth.
Young Life did a study to find out how to better invest in my generation, learning how we can thrive now and in the future, with ourselves, with our friends, with adults like parents and teachers, and with God.
First off, relationships and communicating not online, but actually in person, matter to us in a huge way. Our screens are always on. Research says they're connecting us to more loneliness and more anxiety. We may not always say we want it, but we love face-to-face time and shared real-life experience. Relationships matter.
Third, friends and family are who we turn to for help. We trust you. As we get older, we need you to keep being someone we can turn to for support and advice. We need you to remind us how we're made and who made us, so we can answer these questions.
Am I enough to be loved? To be valued? Do I have something to offer in this world?
When asked to come up with what we want to be known as, the two most common words are kind and good. We believe we can make a meaningful impact on the world for future generations.
We want something to help us live a better life, and this desire only gets stronger as we get older. Over 40% of us Gen Zers are not confident that we are worthy of being loved.
And this is where Young Life comes in.
For more than 50 years, Chester County Young Life has been showing up in the lives of kids, building relationships of trust, and sharing the good news of Jesus with them. We tell kids they're enough to be loved and have something to offer the world. It takes courage to step into the life of a kid, and tonight we invite you to do just that, to explore what it means to be a leader or on committee, to financially support and pray for this ministry. Together we can care for the next generation and introduce them to the God who loves them.
Wish you well. You gotta find your people, then you'll find yourself. You gotta find your people, then you'll find yourself.
So I would love to pause before we share some testimonies and share some more statistics from the Relate Project, a study that Young Life did on Gen Z. As the video said, it was conducted on over 7,000 adolescents from ages 13 to 24 in multiple countries, the United States, the United Kingdom, Mexico, India, and a few countries in Eastern Africa. And the goal was to find what things lead to human flourishing in adolescence. And a definition that the study used was from Harvard School of Public Health, which states, flourishing is a state of life satisfaction, a high level of physical and mental health, meaning and purpose, character and virtue, and close relationships. Now tonight, there are a lot of different people that are here. Some of you would say, I'm a Christian, and I believe that what teens need most is Jesus Christ. And in Young Life, we also agree with that. But some of you might be here and you're not a Christian, but you care about teens and you want to see them flourish. And I do think that this is a helpful definition for all of us to get behind. What Young Life found was, you'll see over here, that 4 different virtues or needs that were met led to flourishing. First, I want to draw your attention to the green triangle. They call that the flourishing triangle. Self-concept, close relationships, and belonging. Those were 3, and then faith. We're going to share more about what those statistics are, but I'd like to just give you a few sentences to kind of give a picture of each one of those. So when we're talking about self-concept, right here, I'd like to draw you to number 1. I believe I am worthy of being loved. A student that has a high self-concept would be able to say that, or I like myself. In close relationships, a student would be able to say, there are people in my life who I love very much. Or number 4, I have a number of people I can talk about things that really matter. And when we're talking about belonging, It's students who could say, I feel like I belong when I'm with my family, when I'm with my friends, and I can fully be myself. And then with faith and flourishing, with faith, we're using that term to mean students who would say, I'm important to God, they believe that, or my faith is in God is important in my life, or I have a relationship with God. And then some sentences they use for flourishing for an adolescent would be, number one, in general, I consider myself a happy person. I'm satisfied with the whole of my life, that I would rate myself high with physical and mental health. I like number 7, I always act to promote good in all circumstances, even in difficult and challenging situations. Now, those are some of the terms. We're going to get into some of the statistics throughout the night. Maybe you're thinking to yourself, that's great, Gen Z, wonderful, but what about Gen Alpha? 12 and under, 13 and under, they're rising up in the ranks. And I found to that question, Jonathan Haidt to be very helpful in his book, The Anxious Generation, which was a book recommended to me by my wife. And he, as far as I can tell, he's not a Christian. He's a social psychologist, and he's sharing about Gen Z and Gen Alpha. And he claims that the biggest distinguishing factor between millennials and Gen Z is that Gen Z had access to smartphones and specifically social media during the critical time of puberty, which triggered what he called the great rewiring of the brain. He noticed that there were significant spikes in mental illness starting around 2012, 2013. It wasn't gradual, it was just all of a sudden a huge spike, like never before. And where many studies before his work correlated the connection through social media and the health or mental illness of students, he says at this point, he would say it has caused it. And as he's put his work out, there haven't really been anyone to dispute him. And he projects that unless we do something about it, Gen Alpha is trending in the same direction. So I actually think that the Gen Z findings that we found in Young Life are actually going to be very helpful as we prepare for Gen Alpha. Now, all that said, Young Life leaders in Chester County know a lot of students. They know many students who are not flourishing, and they know some students that are drowning. We know that we're not the only organization in our community that are caring for adolescents. We humbly walk alongside of parents and schools and churches and other great organizations, but I hope you feel tonight, I hope you see tonight that we are committed to play our part in the solution. We are committed to being a part of students flourishing in their life, with friends and family, and especially with God. So to kick off some of our testimonies, I'm going to invite out Audrey Bova, one of our amazing associate area directors. Audrey?
Hello. Thank you. My name is Audrey Bova. I'm one of the associate area directors for Chester County Young Life. I've been working for Young Life for about 5 years. And just this summer, I took over overseeing the Young Lives ministries in our area. So that's the Westchester Young Lives Club and the Coatesville Young Lives Club. So as Will said, the Relate Project defines close relationships as critical for the flourishing of young people. The report addresses that 7 out of 10 young people say that they have a close relationship with an adult who's not their family member. And while that's a good statistic, it's been dropping over time. Half of teenagers, girls especially, say that they have a hard time making friends or feeling like they belong at school. If you know a high school girl, maybe you can think of their experience in high school. Also, the United States Surgeon General put out an advisory about 2 years ago where he declared loneliness as an epidemic. He's quoted saying, I think the quote, oh yeah, there you go. Loneliness isn't just a bad feeling. It is actually something that harms individual and societal health. And it is associated with a greater risk of all of those things. That's pretty crazy. So you can imagine that all of these findings would only get worse for a young girl who finds herself pregnant. Actually, teen moms are twice as likely to experience postpartum mood disorders. When I heard that, that was like jaw-dropping to me, to think of an 18-year-old experiencing that. Close relationships in the family are tested. Feeling like they can belong or make or maintain friends at school becomes increasingly difficult. And the overall isolation and loneliness that comes with being one of very few peers that are mothering or pregnant in their teens. So the U.S. Surgeon General, in his report, his first suggestion for addressing the loneliness epidemic was to invest in local organizations that regularly bring people together. And he actually suggests faith organizations as one of them, which is where Young Life comes into play. So Young Lives in this area and across the world, I love Young Lives for a million reasons. But one reason is that Young Lives leaders get to step into the lives of young moms and support them through a vulnerable and life-altering time. Young Lives, we aim to create spaces of belonging for young moms where they can connect with leaders, where they can connect with peers who are going through a similar life situation. And so in Young Life, we are committed to providing close relationships like the one you're about to hear from that will impact generations to come. So tonight, I get to introduce you to two women who have been involved in Young Lives for 5 years. So Jen Hicks
Hi.
is the volunteer Young Lives coordinator for our Westchester Club. And Diana has been involved in Young Lives for 5 years, and she has a 4.5-year-old son, Mateo, who I think maybe there's a picture. Hopefully. If not, we'll show you later. There he is.
Aww,
so precious. So Diana, do you want to share with the group when you first got involved in Young Lives and how you met Jen?
So I got involved around 2020 during COVID, and I met Jen by Mimi. Met Mimi since Jen was going to take over the program.
And Jen, how have you seen Diana grow over the years that you've known her?
Wow, I've seen a lot. She amazes me. When we first met, she was strong-willed, and just kind of, she was there, but she had her, guard up. And but she was consistent. She came to every meeting. She never missed. And she just, I can't explain, she just wanted to be there. And our time together in the past 5 years, I'm just as blessed to have her in my life as I know she feels having me in her life. We have just, our bond, it's just really great. I know, I said you weren't going to cry, now you're going to make me cry. But go ahead.
Diana, how has your relationship with Jen influenced you, and how do you feel like you've grown because of her in your life?
Give me 1 second. I had to write this down because I know I was going to forget. So my relationship with Jen has meant a lot to me. Currently, these past couple months, I've been going through something really tough, and Jen's been there, like, supporting me, giving me advice, knowing what happened wasn't my fault, knowing that she loves my kid as it's another family. I literally consider her another mom. Jen,
We're good.
Jen, how have you seen Diana grow as a mother and a woman, because you've seen her now as a teenager and now as a woman, and in her faith?
Yeah, she's a great mom. She loves Mateo with all of her heart. So her love for her child just keeps growing. The older he gets, the more she loves him. She's there for him constantly. Her faith, I feel so blessed to be a part of it. She's heard about God for 5 years. And again, she had her hands up, kind of, standoffish. And she's been going through a lot. And just recently she said, "Can I go to church with you?" I'm like, absolutely. So we've been going to church together for the past month, a month and a half. And I just see her leaning on God and seeing that she needs him in her life to continue growing. And she knows that she needs him to get past this bumpy time in her life. Thank you.
So their relationship, I think, is an example of dozens of student and leader relationships in the ministry of Young Life. So you can give it up for Jen and Diana. So students crave close relationships with trusted adults, and in Young Life, our leaders are pursuing that with kids in their ministry. They're also aiming to create spaces of belonging for students. And I'm going to introduce again to the stage Alexis, who is going to share what that looks like in Young Life. So welcome, Alexis.
Thank you. I'm just appearing out of the wall. Yes, I've met you all earlier, but my name is Alexis. It's wonderful to be here with you tonight. I get the honor and privilege to give you a behind-the-scenes look tonight at two ministries that mean a lot to me. And the first one I get to show you is Capernaum. The vision of Capernaum is simple but very powerful. It is to invite teens and young adults, both with and without disabilities, to discover authentic friendship, growth, and purpose. At the core of Capernaum is a belief in inclusion. The invitation to be a part of something, the open door that encourages participation. But in the Relate study, it talks about belonging amongst adolescents and the importance of that. And I can attest to the fact that belonging is where the real magic happens. It's not just about being included, it's about being valued and being a vital part of the team. And Capernaum is all about belonging. If you think about general adolescence, as we're talking about in the Relate study, it's that even in a typical setting, students struggle to find a place where they feel like they belong, a place where they can be themselves, a place that they can be authentically them. And for a person with disabilities, that sense of isolation can be extremely magnified for them to find a place that is for them to be them. And that is where Capernaum comes in. We offer a unique space in Chester County where our friends with disabilities can experience true belonging, a place where they can forge friendships and discover their purpose. And the impact of the ministry is undeniable. If you've ever been a part of it or seen it, it is something truly like no other. But the Young Life National Capernaum office reports a few wonderful things, that 95% of our friends in Capernaum experience a genuine sense of belonging. 84% of these friends have people who pray for them. They have a support network helping them grow in their faith. 96% of families say that Capernaum offers them a sense of hope and encouragement. And perhaps the most moving is that 99% of the volunteers say they have a lasting friendship with a friend in Capernaum. And Capernaum isn't just a program, it's a community where belonging becomes a reality for everyone involved. I'm excited to share with you tonight a short video made by a student in Chester County. Her name is Kylie Siebel. She's a senior at Ruston High School. And this video really brings to life just how we're creating a space where everyone, regardless of ability, can find their place and truly belong. And so we are going to watch that together. Can we ask you some questions about Capernaum? Okay. All right, what's your name?
Lila.
Lila. What do you learn about Capernaum?
God.
God, that's so good.
Jesus.
Jesus? Yeah. Is there a certain thing that you learned about Jesus tonight?
Yeah.
What did you learn?
Bread.
He's the bread of life?
Yeah.
That's so cool. Is that the first time you heard that?
Yeah.
We're all God's people. The Lord loves us all the same, no matter where we come from, who we are, what we struggle with.
How do you feel when you're at Capernaum?
Excited. Happy. Lovable.
At Capernaum, we learn about life,
love, and God. And we teach them, our friends, about what that looks like, being in a friendship and relationship with the Lord. What are our other L's? We have
Life, God, and love.
good job.
Why do you love to come to Capernaum? For the food? We always have dinner, right?
Yeah.
What's the best dinner you've had here?
Pasta.
Pasta?
I just look forward to Tuesday nights every week just to see these guys and girls because they're such blessings in our lives and we couldn't be more thankful.
Right? Wonderful. High five. Love it.
High five.
Yes, you can clap for that. That was a look inside one of our most recent campaigner meetings where we actually made bread with our friends. It was a time, let me tell you. But I'm so thankful that you guys got to see a little bit inside what Young Life Capernaum is. It is a privilege to create spaces where kids belong as they build critical friendships with adults who care about them. We believe in Young Life that the reason we all feel the need to belong is because God made us to belong with Him. We also believe that the best place for a Christian to belong is the local church, and we hope that Young Life is a place where kids can take steps towards belonging there as well. Will is going to share more about how these steps help build a healthy sense of self in adolescence. So I'm going to introduce Will.
All right, so as you look here, we've talked about close relationships, belonging. Now we're going to finish the flourishing triangle and talk a little bit more about self-concept. So when we're talking about self-concept, that's really answering the question, who am I? Figuring out our identity. So when the Relate Project asked Gen Z to rate them their worth of love, so they were asked, hey, rate your worth of love. Interestingly, students who checked atheist, agnostic, or of being of no religion, they were the lowest when they ranked themselves of their worth of love. When asked if you believe you can make a difference in the world, Gen Zers who associated with faith were the most confident. Isn't that interesting? And then this one really hit me. 15% of Gen Z disagreed that they liked themselves. So 15% of our students in Chester County look in the mirror and think, I do not like what I see. Some of them probably think, I hate what I see. That should shake us. That should break our hearts when the God who created them looks at them and says, you were made in my image. You're my child. You're my son. You're my daughter. You matter to me. Only 40% of Gen Z strongly agreed that they like themselves. So discovering who you are is one of the main goals of adolescence. And as students are asking the question, do I matter in those formative years, they're also being bombarded with adult content earlier and earlier and earlier. So they're answering the question, do I matter, because of content they've seen in other lives of the world, of no, I do not. That should break our hearts, which is why in Wildlife, with our middle school friends, we are committed to sharing who they are in Christ, helping them discover themselves, discover God, discover Christ, and to build a healthy concept of self. So I've asked one of our incredible Wildlife leaders, Bethany Nesbitt, to share a little bit about her ministry.
All right, thanks for having us. My name is Bethany Nesbitt, and we lead Wildlife, my husband and I, Peter, and Dave Ravel, for this area, along with Adrian. And we have 4 kids. We have a 4th grader at East Bradford, a 6th grader and an 8th grader at Pierce, and a 10th grader at Henderson. And I don't think we are any different than any of you sitting there today. We did not see ourselves as middle school leaders, but we saw a need. And sometimes when you see that need, you can't unsee it. And so we saw that this generation was searching for something. I don't know about you, but when we were about to enter into the public middle school years, it got a little scary. And so we realized we either had to lean in or we could run. And so we chose to lean in, and Dave Ravel introduced us to Will. So be careful when you meet Will. So we met Will, and he decided he thought we could be leaders of these middle schoolers. We didn't know anything about wildlife at the time. We didn't know anything about Young Life, but we saw the need. So we started getting our training right before COVID, and then COVID happened, so it slowed things down a little bit. And we began shortly after COVID then with about 8 masked children of middle schoolers, our 6th grader being one of them. And what has started with those 8 kids or so has turned into now 30 to 50 kids showing up at our house on a Friday night. They don't care if it's a Bible study. They don't care if it's a club night. They just want to be together and be in that space, which has been amazing. I want to share with you about one of our students. I could tell you a million stories, and if you find me later, I probably will, which is why I'm up here. But one of our students, her name is Jane. I met Jane when she was a preschooler, actually, at my Sunday school class at Brandywine Grace Church. And just a sweet little girl. But our family's lives, went different paths over the years, and we lost track of their family. But we were at a 6th grade chorus concert a few years later when Jane was in 6th grade and our son was in 6th grade. And when I go to these concerts, I sit there and I scan. So I am watching my kid too, but I'm also looking for these little lights, these little wildlife kids or their parents that I've connected with over the years. And so anyway, we're sitting there. I spot Jane's parents, and they probably don't know that I had an intention to find them. They're in this room tonight. But I'm telling you the backstory. So I spotted them and Jane, and I went for them as soon as I had the moment, and I reintroduced myself, and I said, hey, we do this thing called wildlife, and Jane should come. And Jane was a little hesitant because I probably came on too strong. So we didn't see her for a while. It took her about 9 months before she came through our gate at our house. So 9 months later, she shows up, and very hesitant, but she said, well, my friend invited me. So I watch as she gets out of this car, and I'm like, I wonder who this friend is. She runs over to this 7th grade boy, Jack, who I was shocked that was the friend who had invited her, but you never know with middle schoolers. So she runs over to him, and she continued to come. So from clubs, she started coming to campaigners, and little by little, she'd start to share more of her story. And deep down, she was struggling with some depressing thoughts. She was struggling with friendships. And that's very normal for the kids that are coming through our doors on a Friday night. They're really struggling to know who they are and where they belong. Everything that Will is telling you, that's the reality of these middle schoolers. So she kept on coming, and she kept sharing, and she really seemed hopeless at the time as this little 7th grade girl. But then she just kept coming, and then she started bringing friends, and you could see the light coming back into her as she became connected with this group and connected with her faith and her identity. And so she continued to come, and we're really lucky that we even get to see her be baptized this coming Sunday here in this church, which is exciting to see a kid go full circle. So Jane's one girl, but I could tell you, and I was just telling Will backstage, there are so many of you whose kids have either come through wildlife. This is so fun. 4 years, 5 years later, I'm sure Dave and Peter would say the same, to see so many families who we've had the privilege of welcoming your kids into our home. Like I said, we never aimed to be a middle school leader, but we saw the need. And now we continue to go to these events. We continue to show up at the concerts or the track meets. Those are the best. They have the most kids at them. And you can stalk them a little more easily at those. But we continue to go to Pierce or to Henderson, and we just see these lights that are growing and they're getting bigger, and there's more of them and more of them. And the dark space that we once feared as parents has become so much brighter, and we're so excited to be a part of it. This isn't how you expect to spend your Friday nights, but there's no place I would rather be than at our home on a Friday night, welcoming all of your kids to our home. So, thank you.
We are truly blessed to have our wildlife leaders on our team. Thank you, Bethany. So we finished the Flourishing Triangle. We're going to move to what Young Life does best, which is talk about how we share who Jesus is and give students the opportunity to have faith in Christ. And for that, I'm going to invite Alexis back out.
Entering will always be weird. We'll just acknowledge it. It's a little awkward. So Will shared earlier, but I'm going to share again that the mission of Young Life is to introduce adolescents to Jesus Christ and help them grow in their faith. And faith is a word that often is sometimes thrown around and used, but in Young Life, faith is not just a concept. It is faith in Jesus and his sacrifice on the cross. And in Young Life, we have the privilege of walking alongside students as they take steps in that faith. And for some students, it's their very first steps, which is just a wonderful thing to experience. And studies show that faith plays a critical role in our lives, yet for many of today's adolescents, their faith is not something that they've been raised with. Many come from families who either do not practice any religion or are far removed from the faith of their upbringing. And in fact, Relate tells us that 1/3 of students who identify as atheist, agnostic, or non-religious come from families that do actually practice a religious faith. And this tells us something powerful, that many young people are grappling with questions about faith and identity, sometimes questioning what they've been taught and seeking their own path. And I can't imagine that any of us here wouldn't want the next generation to have the opportunity to know Jesus and to have a foundation to build their lives upon. And one story that we're going to highlight tonight is Dylan's. He is a senior at Downingtown West. And Dylan's journey with faith is just one story, but it represents hundreds of stories and students who find themselves in a similar place, searching for meaning and for truth and for purpose. Dylan's story is an example of how the ministry of Young Life is helping young people take their first steps in something greater than themselves. When we look at Gen Z like Dylan, it's clear that faith is still something they're searching for. 49% of Gen Z from other faith traditions say their faith is important, and 46% say they believe that they are important to God. But Christian Gen Zers, only 46% report actually having a relationship with God, a personal relationship. And so these statistics show the spiritual hunger that exists within the generation. And it underscores the importance of walking alongside them and guiding them to a deeper understanding. And through Young Life, we offer not just answers, but the opportunity to develop a relationship with someone who wants to walk with you, who wants you to ask them questions, who wants to spend time with you, and that person is a Young Life leader. And Dylan's story and stories like his remind us that this work is not just important, but that it's life-changing. It's about introducing young people to a faith that can shape their lives, build their futures, and impact generations to come. And so with that, I would love to introduce you to my friend Dylan and his Young Life leader, David Miller. Come on out.
Hello, my name is David Miller. I lead at Downtown West High School. Today, I have the opportunity to introduce Dylan Sabolito, who is one of my Young Life students, and he's going to tell you guys a little bit about his faith story.
Hello, everyone. My name's Dylan. I'm a senior at Downingtown West, and I'm in Young Life. And I'll be sharing my testimony today. So, growing up, I only went to church when I was with my grandparents for Christmas or Easter. And Christianity had a very small part in my life because I never really knew anything about it and didn't care to. I believed in making people happy and being kind to others no matter what. Treating others the way you want to be treated. My parents raised me this way. They are amazing, and I'm so grateful for them. I was raised in a great home life, but like many other teenagers, I felt empty. Like, what am I living for? and what is my purpose? I thought that my impact of love and kindness on the world was my purpose, which isn't wrong, but it was missing something. Around this time, I was struggling with my friends, and it felt like I was being left out everywhere, and I just wanted a fresh start. During Christmas time in my sophomore year, one of my best friends, Caleb, asked me in school if I wanted to come to Young Life. I said yes right away. I wasn't a super outgoing guy at the time, and I don't know why, but I really just felt like saying yes and going and trying something new. That night, we went around and we played a game called Bigger or Better, where you go to random houses in the neighborhood and ask people to trade with you any item for whatever you had, trying to eventually get to the biggest and best thing possible. In my group, we started from a paperclip and we traded all the way up to a bobsled, and it was just one of the most fun nights of my life. The people in my group that came up to me and talked to me were so kind and easy to talk to, and the community was something that I had never felt before. It intrigued me to continue to come to Young Life, and I ended up learning all about Jesus and the love he had for me. The community of Young Life really brought me to Christ. They showed me what his love looked like. I became super interested and asked many questions, and after about a year then, I devoted my life to Christ. My morals were already good, but now I know my purpose in life, which is to bring as many people to Jesus as I can because of how he changed my life, and I want to share that joy with anyone I can. I've had my most difficult times in life following Jesus, but I've also had my very best times following Jesus, in fellowship with all my new friends. I'm so grateful for the fact that God sent his only son to die on the cross for me, personally and everyone personally, so that we may live in him forever. Jesus had the greatest act of love ever through his sacrifice. Here is a verse I've grown to love while growing in my faith. 1 Corinthians 10:13, no temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation, he will also provide the way of escape that you may be able to endure it. This verse has helped me to understand that anything thrown at me in life, I can overcome if I do it through him. I just want to say thank you on behalf of all the students in this area involved with Young Life. Thank you for supporting this ministry. It is making a difference in the lives of many other students in Young Life just like me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan. We can see here that as an adolescent has the opportunity to have a close relationship with a trusted adult, a sense of belonging, a healthy self-concept, and a sense of faith, adolescents are more likely to experience human flourishing. And so we're going to get to talk about that a little bit with Todd. We're going to go this way.
Hello, friends. How's everybody doing out there? Good, good, good. What a gift to be together tonight and have a chance to introduce Lainey in a moment. My name's Todd Madonna. I have the privilege to serve with such a great staff and continue to serve with this mission, but I serve part-time as the director of Young Life College at Westchester University. Most of you, actually I'm not sure, a lot of you know Young Life has been active on Westchester University's campus for decades. Young Life has been there to identify, to build relationships with students that we can train to go and lead Young Life on high school and middle school campuses. It was only 3 years ago that we began to really sense God's leading to be on Westchester's campus for the sake of every college student. And so Young Life of Chester County began to intentionally place staff and volunteer leaders there to reach every college student. So many volunteer leaders who've served in the past with Chester County Young Life and in the present were students at Westchester University. As a matter of fact, a lot of them have gone on to join ministries, to go on Young Life staff. And so Young Life has really voted to target and fortify the work at Westchester University. And so we're so excited about the ways Young Life College is growing at Westchester, on Westchester's campus. It actually led us to an opportunity to meet this lovely young lady. This is Lainey Keitel. And say hello to Lainey. So Lainey, I'm excited for these folks to get to know you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you ran into the ministry of Young Life?
Yes, of course. So if you guys, I'm Lainey Keitel. I'm a freshman at Westchester University, and growing up, all of my older siblings, they went to Young Life in high school, but I was too young, and I was just like, oh man, I want to go so bad. But I finally was old enough, and my sister would drive me to every single Young Life event, and I quickly realized how important it was, and how quickly I was able to make relationships, and just the community there was just amazing. And after she graduated, I continued to go because I loved it. I felt like it was for me. I felt like it was personal. It was just connected to it in a way, and I loved it. When I graduated high school, this girl Emma, she was from Westchester, and she found out that I was going to Westchester. She was like, I'm going to put you in a group chat with these people, one of them being Todd, and another Alexis, and then another one Madeline. And that's how I came to Young Life College, just meeting them.
Thanks, Lainey. Todd Madonna in group chats, it just tends to be something that's a recruiting strategy all over the place. But Lainey, we're so glad that you came to Westchester. And we remember getting that text and just sensing that God was bringing someone very special. I do know that when we got that text, you were kind of in the middle of transition. And I think for a lot of us, transitions are difficult, not the least of which is a transition from high school to college. Tell us a little bit about how Young Life was meaningful in that transition for you from high school to Westchester.
So my view of college and high school was just that's a big, scary thing. I hated change. I hated being away from my close friends and family for a long period of time. And I also hated the idea of being independent, which is kind of big in college. And the first week of college, I was extremely overwhelmed. There's a lot of things happening around me. There's a lot of chaos, and things are changing. I was learning a new routine, and I was like, ah, my gosh. But there was a Young Life event. I'm pretty sure it was kickball, I want to say. And that's where I met some interesting people. And I immediately felt like they knew me already. They were talking to me like they've known me for years. And I was like, wow, I feel like I can talk to these people about anything. I think I just remember asking a lot of questions about just college in general. I was like, am I gonna be okay? It was this big worry. And being able to talk to the people that were just there for me just gave me so much peace throughout the chaos that was happening around me. And I was really thankful for that, because I would have classes be like, oh my gosh, that's so scary. But then I was able to go to these people, and they would just calm me down in a very peaceful and loving way.
Yeah, the word flourishing that we're talking about tonight, Lainey, I would just say this. I really just sensed, as you've been involved with Young Life College and we've gotten to know you, that you are flourishing. And we're just so thankful to be a part of what God has been doing. But for you, when you think about that word, this idea of just wholeness, I think meaning and satisfaction, I think, was part of their definition. What does flourishing mean to you?
Thinking on the word and just applying it to what flourishing would mean. I think through Young Life that I was really able to flourish in my relationship with Christ, 100%. The support system and the relationships in the community, it just built me up. I was constantly getting poured into. And it was able to help me just develop that relationship with Christ that I really needed. And what it's looking like right now for me personally is I have the opportunity and a desire to just do the same for others. And so recently I went through Young Life leader training, and I just recently got placed at Ruston High School, which is really exciting. So I'm hopeful that I'll be able to pour onto others what was poured into me, and hopefully witness the other high schoolers flourishing as well. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Lainey. Well, I love what you just added there. I think one of the things that we find as we consider what abundant life means, what true flourishing means, is when we begin to give our lives away. And that's one of the incredible gifts in Young Life, is that students are impacted, but then immediately look around and see there's a mission around them, and they have an opportunity to give their lives away. So I'm excited for you to be on Young Life Ruston's team. But would you continue to pray for Young Life College at Westchester, really for students all over this region who are searching for that abundance? I think all of us innately, we have a longing to flourish. And we're so thankful for this ministry that's giving kids the opportunity. So I'm gonna bring out Will Hall, and one more round of applause for Lainey.
Well, we're almost done. If you give me about 15 more minutes, I'm gonna get you out of here early. So there we go. I would just start by saying, you've heard many testimonies tonight. Wouldn't we all agree that we want to see more lives changed? Don't we want more stories like Lainey and Dylan and Diana and Jane? And that's only possible when a team works together towards the same goal. So if Young Life was a table, if you will, which I think I have a graphic, and as a table we were upholding our mission statement, introducing adolescents to Jesus Christ, there would be 4 legs that hold up that mission. I'd like to share with you the different roles that we have in Young Life, those different legs. I want to start with committee. Our committee do so much for this area. Let me tell you some of the things they do. They regularly pray for our ministry. They help leaders network in the community. They plan fundraisers like this or our golf outing. They help us thank our donors. They mentor leaders. Our committee ensure the integrity of this organization. And I just wanted to pause, and if you're on committee, could you stand? I would like to honor you and give a round of applause to our committee. So if you're on committee, could you please stand? Thank you. You can grab a seat. I believe there's 9 of us, but there are 8 here tonight that I saw. Tom Anderson, who's our committee chair, he's going to end the night with a prayer. You're going to see him in a moment. He and I talk often at the size of our organization. Our committee should really be probably 20 people. We've been at that number at different times in the last year. We've had a few committee need to step down for lots of good reasons. But our team would love to grow. I know that that's one of our goals tonight. If you can come to a meeting once a month and you have any talents at all, we will take them. Even if you feel like you don't have talents, we will find a place for you. But I really do think that I'd love to add 9 committee members tonight. I think they're in this room. So I think right in front of you there's a serve card. You're going to have a moment in a little bit, in about 8 minutes, to fill that out. If you have any interest in serving, maybe not directly with students, but indirectly helping staff and leaders, we would love you to consider being on our team. I can meet with you and talk through that process. The second leg I'd like to highlight are our leaders. Like I said, we have 35 volunteer leaders who spend a lot of time with students. At one point, when I first moved here, I've been in this role about 10 years now, almost 10 years, we had a lot of college leaders. When COVID hit, we kind of took some steps back with recruiting college leaders. Todd has been helping us to do that. But we've kind of looked at other places and looked for post-college leaders. All that to say, we probably really need to be at like 50 leaders to be able to sustain this ministry well. Some of our clubs have shrunk a little bit, not because our leaders don't care, but because they need help. And so some of you are here tonight, and maybe you do have time to work with students directly. Maybe it's with a high school leader, as a high school leader with high school students, but maybe it's being a Young Lives mentor and working with our teen moms, or maybe it's being a small group leader for our college ministry. So if that's you, you're gonna have a moment and you're gonna have a second to fill out that serve card, and we'd love to have you join our team. The next leg I'd like to lift up or point out to you is our staff. Our staff, we have my goal tonight was for you to see all of our staff. And Autumn you didn't get to see from up front, but she's our area administrator, and she made tonight possible. We have a great staff team. I am so honored to work alongside of them. And our next hire is going to be a college staff person full-time. Todd is great at starting things. He had a vision to build Young Life College, and he'd like to pass that off to someone new. We shared that last year. interviewed a few people this summer, but ended up not being the right person. There are some potential people that we could hire very quickly. We're going to need some funds to do that. Maybe you're like, well, I'm here because I love wildlife, or I'm here because I love Young Lives. And I would say Young Life College impacts everyone, because the bigger that ministry is, we're going to inevitably have college students who are meeting the Lord or already know the Lord and are saying, hey, I want to work with middle school students. That's going to help us recruit more leaders. Not right away, but over time. So in order to make that higher, that leads us to the last leg, which are incredible donors. That's all of you. Maybe you didn't know tonight this is a fundraiser. Better late than never to know that. You do now. If that's you, in a moment, we're gonna fill out a pledge card. Just you can write the name of the person who invited you, and then you could just write one-time gift $63,000, which is how much that we have left to raise, and boom, we're there. No, yes, our goal is 90. Some of those funds will help us hire that college person. Some of those funds are just our operating funds to help. Really, our biggest fund that we pay for our staff. And there is a correlation, the amount of staff you have, the amount of clubs that you can open, because you're able to recruit more leaders and sustain them in health. And so our goal tonight is to reach 63,000. There's a lot of ways to do it. Let me share this vision with you. I'm going to give you in a moment, you're going to have some time to consider supporting this great organization. And I want you to think about Dylan. I want you to think about Jane and the hours that their leaders invested in them. I want you to think about Lainey. I want you to think about Diana. And as you give, think about, I'm sponsoring a student. I'm making it possible for a Young Life leader, a wildlife leader, a Young Life college leader to show up in their life and invest in them and help them to flourish in life and in Christ. So you can't really put a price tag on a transformed life, but it is a fundraiser, so I'm going to. With 63,000 left and the amount of giving units in the room, households that are represented, if you would imagine sponsoring a student at $1,500, we would hit our goal. Now, I know that there are different capacities in this room and different people in different places, so maybe think about, maybe I could sponsor half of a student this year. Or maybe some of you could sponsor 5 students. But we would ask you to consider doing that. I know that the stock market is crazy right now. But kids need us. They need us. So perhaps you're thinking, what's the best way to give? I've shared this before. I want to share it again. I usually answer that question in 2 ways. The first one is this. I want you to give in the way that's best for your family. If that means giving a one-time gift tonight, if that's best for your family to give for the long haul, wonderful. If the best thing for your family is to maybe take that gift and divide it up and give it over 12 months, we'll take it. That's great. If perhaps you're here and you give monthly, but you're interested in giving a one-time gift, wonderful. Maybe you want to increase your monthly gift tonight. We want you to give, to have a vision for giving for the long haul. Now, if it doesn't matter to you, I will say that in Young Life, it really helps us to have monthly and quarterly donations because a lot of our expenses are monthly. And so that helps us better project, can we hire that college staff person? Do we have enough money coming in regularly to be able to pay that person once we hire them? I would just ask you to give cheerfully and sacrificially. One last story, and then we're done. I have a picture of 3 guys. Drake, who's in, I believe, yes, Drake's in the middle. John is on the right. Avery is on your left. Drake came to Young Life for the first time 3 years ago, I believe. He was the only student from Westchester East, the only guy who came to camp. From a great family. Their family's members at Goshen Baptist in Westchester. And Drake fell in love with Young Life and said, I want to share Jesus with my school. I want everyone to know about him. And if this is the way to do it, I'm in. So I encouraged Drake, because he said, I'm the only one here. I'm like, Drake, all you need is the Lord and a passion, and you got both. So get after it. That year, he started inviting literally anyone that would listen to him to Young Life Club. He invited everybody. 2 people that he invited, I believe John was his friend, and I think Avery was just a peer in one of his classes. They both started coming to Young Life. Avery, he is from a broken home. It's complicated. I asked Avery before he started coming to Young Life, I just asked him 2 days ago, how would you describe yourself before you started coming to Young Life? He said, misguided, feeling meaningless, silenced, feeling like no one was listening to me. Avery's family are not believers, but he started coming to Young Life and for the first time started hearing about Jesus. John came from a really great home life. They're not believers, but he loved Drake, started coming. Avery and Drake went to a Young Life camp on one weekend, and Avery said, I'm in. I want to follow Jesus. I'm all in. He came home. He told everyone. He told John. John liked Young Life, but he did not believe in the God stuff, and he made fun of Avery. But John kept being invited by Drake, by his Young Life leader, David Van Arsdale, to Young Life, to church. I asked John, how would you describe yourself before you started coming to Young Life? Just yesterday, he said, lonely, unwelcome, and a stranger. I thought stranger was an interesting way to describe yourself, but perhaps he didn't feel like he belonged anywhere. At some point, he got invited to Young Life camp by Drake. He came and heard the message of Jesus and gave his life to Christ and said, I'm all in. In the last 2 weeks, Avery, who's a student at Westchester University, just got placed at Unionville High School to be a Young Life leader. John just got placed at Penn State to be a wildlife leader. These students, their lives aren't perfect. They're still figuring out what it means to follow Jesus. They're still on the journey to flourishing, but they would both say that their lives have been radically changed because of people like you who gave generously. So thank you for being here. We're going to take a moment. Table hosts, you can actually pull out the pledge cards in that white manila folder. We're going to give you a few minutes to consider what you might give. We'd also ask you to consider how you might serve. And then in a few minutes, Tom Anderson's going to come up and pray for our night and dismiss you. Okay, so thank you for listening.
Thank you. Once again, I'm Tom Anderson. I'm the committee chair for Chester County Young Life. I'm also on staff with Young Life in what we call mission services in our headquarters organization in Colorado Springs. I want to make one quick announcement. You may have noticed in our reception outside, there's a blue wall out there. You might think of it as our wall of hope. There's a bunch of sticky notes on that wall. All the green ones were filled out by campaigner kids over the last week or so with prayer requests. You are free to take one of those with you and pray over that prayer request in the days to come. There are also blank yellow cards out there, and you can fill those out for you in ways that you want to pray for Young Life in this area. So feel free to interact with that blue wall in any way that you felt led. So join me in prayer and we'll close the evening. Heavenly Father, as we gather here tonight, we come before you with grateful hearts for the incredible work you're doing through Young Life. We thank you for the opportunity to support this vital ministry that seeks to help kids flourish in their lives. Lord, we lift up middle school, high school, and college students who are navigating the challenges of loneliness, the desire for belonging, and the struggle with self-worth. We pray that they may discover and confirm their faith and identity in you. May they feel your presence in their lives, embracing the truth that they are loved and valued just as they are. We especially pray for the teen moms and those with special needs, asking that your grace and strength surround them. Help them to find community and support through Young Life, and may they experience the joy of knowing they are never alone. We also want to express our gratitude for the powerful testimonies shared by Lainey, Dylan, Diana, and Jane. Their stories remind us of the transformative impact of your love and the importance of having a supportive community. Finally, we thank you for our dedicated staff, Will, Audrey, Alexis, Autumn, and Todd. Bless them with wisdom, strength, and encouragement as they continue to lead and inspire the young people in our midst. As we conclude this gathering, may we carry the spirit of this evening into our lives committed to helping others find their way to you. In your holy name we pray, amen. And good evening.